What's up, YouTube? How y'all doing? Mad Fragger back again with another fragrance review for you today. And this is one that I picked up for Christmas this year, or I got for Christmas from my son. This is Emir Celestial, and it is a clone of Ganymede by Marc-Antoine Barrault. And this is one that's kind of been on my radar for a while. I don't own nor have I actually smelled Ganymede. I never normally I'll pick up a clone or pick up a decant of a fragrance, try it out, and then if I really like the fragrance, then I'll pick up the clone. You know what I mean? But in this case, just was going completely off of what I've heard, and heard that Ganymede was a really good fragrance. And one of the things that really caught my attention was that it was one of those fragrances that's considered a petrichor. And what that means is it's got like it's got an essence of that smell after the rain, or like rain on concrete, maybe like rocks, wet rocks. That whole kind of earthy, damp kind of smell that you get after it rains. That's called petrichor, and that was very interesting to me. And that's one of the things that drew me to wanting to try this fragrance. And like I said, I typically would get a decant first, try it out. In this case, I didn't do that. I just went straight for it and just kind of hope for the best. And it worked out pretty good for me because it is a excellent, very solid fragrance, and I really like it. I kind of tend to gravitate toward fragrances that have like a what I just like to call is like a classy fragrance, like it's got a lot of class to it. I could, like your Dior Parfum, Prada L'Homme. I'll even put F by Ferragamo, even though that's a fragrance that I've had and gotten rid of because it had just a little too much pepper going on in it for me. But it did have that kind of classy scent to it, and I like a fragrance that's got that kind of classy vibe to it. And this is one of those. It comes in the box that it comes in is, I mean, it's a great. The box is very heavy. Like the construction of the box, I mean, this thing is really stout and thick, and it's one of those boxes where when you open it up, then you're gonna have the fragrance sitting in the base, which I really like. So that just pull this top piece off. You got the name of the fragrance, the name of the house. This is a fragrance world. I'm sorry, correct. I'm staying corrected. This is a Paris Corner fragrance, which is a house that I have not tried. I don't have any other fragrances by Paris Corner. This is my first Paris Corner fragrance, and based on this fragrance, I certainly will try to pick up some more Paris Corner fragrances in the future because it's very high quality, very well blended, great performance to it. So going forward, if I see another fragrance, or I keep wanting to go back to fragrance world. If I see another Paris Corner fragrance, I wouldn't hesitate to try it out because this one really impressed me. So that's your box top, and then here's the base. Like I said, it's the fragrance that sits in the base. It's Extrait de Parfum, 100 ml bottle, 3.4 ounce. Really fancy, really nice bottle. I love the color. It sits in the base, and you got kind of a velvety base here that it sits into. Now the bottle, I mean, this is a very nice, very fancy bottle that kind of like goes right along with a very classy looking bottle for a classy looking scent. The cap has got a bird. I don't know if it's representing an eagle here, but it looks kind of like an eagle. Not a whole lot of weight to the cap, but it does have some weight to it. It is a metal cap with a plastic liner, but it does have a little bit of weight to it. Not super heavy, but there's some heft here. Real nice cap. And now the atomizer on this, I mean, I wouldn't say that it's the greatest atomizer. It's not like a, fire hose atomizer like some other fragrances that I have that I just wish that they had those atomizers on everything. But it's also not a short, puffy atomizer like, for instance, Lattafa's Camera. That atomizer is, I mean, you have to spray twice as much because it's a great scent. It's one of my favorites. It's a wonderful fragrance, but the atomizer on it not so great. This one's kind of in the middle. I'm gonna give it a spray for you here. It's kind of puffy, but it does put out a good amount of juice. Like I said, it's not great, but it's not terrible either. Gets the job done. Now, this fragrance here, when from what I have gathered, the original fragrance that this is cloning, Ganymede, is one of those fragrances that can be subjective. It can be a little challenging. It's got a really strong mineral note in the top. It's got a metallic quality to it in the open. I've been told, and again, I haven't tried Ganymede, but I've been told and I've heard that Ganymede has a much more pronounced metallic note in the top in the open than this clone does. That this kind of ramps it, takes it down a little bit, and makes it a little more wearable. There is a metallic kind of note in the top. Oh, you do pick up a nice metallic, kind of a sharp metallic note in the top there. You do get that, but it's not off-putting to me. It's not off-putting. It's not too sharp. It's not too. It does come off very smooth. It does come off very clean. The open on this is bright and fresh and sparkling and very, very fresh in the open. And this is one of those fragrances that I would say this has kind of like two levels to it. It's not a linear fragrance, but it doesn't continue to change over the life of the fragrance either. For me, it seems like it's kind of a two-level fragrance. Like it opens up very, like I said, very fresh, very bright, very sparkly. But as it dries down, it darkens up. It gets a little more. It gets more earthy. It gets more deep. It gets more rich as it dries. Oh, just it's wonderful. The Now I will give you the notes on this are, as with other clones, the notes on this are the same as the notes would be for Ganymede, the fragrance that it's emulating. So in the top, you got mineral notes, which, as I said, it's like that kind of wet rocks, wet concrete after it rains, that kind of vibe, um, and a little bit metallic, a little bit sharp, but not as sharp as I was expecting it to be. Good, which is a good thing because I was hoping it wouldn't be too sharp and metallic, and it's not. Then you got saffron, suede, akagala wood, violet leaf, and Italian mandarin. Those are the way the notes read. Is they don't read a top, middle, and base. They read more like one set of notes. And then the way that I feel like the fragrance presents itself is you've got a top, an open, and then it dries down to a base, and then it rides there. Now, the freshness in the open, the sparkliness in the open, that doesn't stay the entire time. Um, but as it dries down, it kind of goes into this next level, and then you've got immortale and Chinese hold on, I'm going to get this right. Osmanthus. So the top notes remain the same. You do get that kind of a little bit of sweetness from the saffron. You get that kind of smooth suede, like the mineral smell. All that kind of rides through the fragrance, but it does deepen down, darken down, get a little more earthy. Again, that kind of earthy, like what you would have like after it rains, that smell you'd get after it rains. And I feel like that the fact that this is two like levels, like it starts out a certain way and then it kind of like I said, it kind of changes and then it kind of stays there. some of the top notes stay with it, some of them don't. Some of them are a little bit more prominent as the fragrance goes through, some of them aren't. But it does carry some of the opening notes through. What you'll notice is, as I said, that freshness and sparkliness and brightness in the open, which the open is just fantastic, but the dry down is just as fantastic. It's just a different vibe. It's just a different feel to it. And once it dries down, I'd say maybe like 10 minutes, maybe 5 to 10 minutes, somewhere in there. The more it dries down, then you kind of get that changeover, and then what you're getting is like that classy kind of smell is starting to become more apparent. That this smells like something that would be really good for like a dressed up occasion, like a night out, a date. If you're wearing a suit and tie, this feels like a dressed up fragrance, like a formal fragrance to me. And I mean it's wonderful. It's got a lot of character to it. It's got a lot of that kind of like different uniqueness to it that makes it special. I feel like this is one that you're not gonna have a lot. There's not gonna be other fragrances that are gonna be comparable to this as far as, yeah, it's got that kind of classy feel, but it has its own unique kind of thing going on. And I really like that. I like when a fragrance is able to set itself apart from other stuff. You know, you want to have like that kind of diversity where it's setting itself apart. And this does that excellently. Now, want to talk about performance with this? I've given it one good, full wear. And when you start wearing this fragrance, like I said, it's got a much different. Oh, the open is a lot different, but then as it gets to where it dries down, then it gets to a place where you're gonna have about maybe two. I noticed about 2 to 2.5 hours of a really good strong projection. Call it a moderate projection. It does project very well for the first 2 to 3 hours, let's say 2.5 hours or so. Gonna get really strong wafts of this fragrance. It's not gonna let you forget it's there at all. Really good projection for the first couple hours, and then as it dries down further, your longevity is going to be around 10 hours. I was still smelling this pretty good on my skin 10 hours later, but the projection dies down after that 2 hour mark. The projection starts to kind of die down. You're still going to get little whiffs here and there of it, but it's going to get a little closer to the skin after the first couple hours, but it's there. And anybody within your intimate space is going to smell it, is going to pick it up. Good sillage. You're going to leave a decent scent trail with this. It's not lacking in that department. I would say overall, as far as performance goes, just in general overall, I would say that it is a moderately performing fragrance. It's not on the lighter side. It's not on the beast mode side. It's moderate, but fairly heavy in the first couple hours. So performance is not something that you need to worry about. Now, one thing I do want to mention is this is, as I mentioned when I showed you the presentation, this is an extrait. So, I mean, there's a misconception I think a lot of people have that the higher the concentration of fragrance is, the better performance it is. But that doesn't always hold true, and I've mentioned that in other videos. Like, for instance, Sauvage EDT is much better performing than some other fragrances I have that are, eau de parfum. I don't think that just based on the fact that it's extrait that you can automatically assume it's going to have great performance, although it really does. To me, I mean, the only other fragrance that I have in my collection right now that's an extrait is Nishan Ani. Now that's an extrait, and it has killer 12-hour longevity, great projection, great performance. But But I do have other fragrances though that are eau de parfum that perform in the same range that this one does. So yes, it's an extrait, but the performance on it, forget about what the concentration is. The performance on it is above moderate to above moderate. It's very good. It is going to stick with you. You are going to smell it through the day as you wear it. It is going to last you the day. It has really good performance. So overall, I'm definitely going to say that this is a fragrance that if you want to, I know a lot of people like to buy clones. A lot, myself included, I have a lot of clones. This is one where you're gonna, when you pick this up, and it's in that kind of $30 to $40 price point, right in that common price point for a clone fragrance, I've found. And when you pick this one up, you're going to realize that you are going to get a better fragrance than the price point, which is what I like to, find with. I mean, that's my thing that I like to get out of a fragrance, especially a clone fragrance, is that for it to smell better and perform better than the price point. And I feel like this one does that. I think it outperforms the price point. I think it smells much better and much more expensive than what it is. And that's another thing. This fragrance is one that smells expensive. Like when you smell this, it smells like it's a more expensive fragrance than it is. What is one of the key points that I would say about this is it smells expensive. It smells really classy. It smells really high quality, really top quality for a really low price, a fraction of the. I think Ganymede, the fragrance that this is cloning, I think Ganymede runs in about the I think it's the $350 to $400 range. It is a very expensive fragrance. This one gives you that for a fraction of the price. Now, even though I can't compare it to Ganymede directly because I don't own that fragrance, nor have I smelled it, just going off of what I've read, what the reviews I've seen of people talking about it that do own or have smelled Ganymede, this one is very close. Uh, it's a very very close representation of the original. And as far as performance goes, I know that this performs really great. And I'm not gonna sit here and tell you it performs as well as Ganymede does because I don't know. But I feel like it performs good enough that if you're either somebody who has Ganymede and you just would like to have a clone, a fragrance that you can wear that's gonna give your bottle of expensive Ganymede a little more, a little more life, like stretch your bottle out a little more, and if you don't want to wear the real thing, then this is a good go-to. Or if you're somebody like me who wants to kind of get that expensive Ganymede feel and smell and performance and all that for a fraction of the price, then this one's for you. Great fragrance, great pickup. I highly recommend this. Hats off to this fragrance for sure. I definitely think that this is one that's worth you having in your collection. I think that anybody who is a person who is into collecting fragrances and you want to have a bunch of different kinds of fragrances, you want to have your fresh fragrances, you want to have your warm cold weather fragrances, warm and cozy kind of stuff, then this one falls into that, like I said, in my opinion, like a classy kind of fragrance, like Prada L'Homme or Dior Homme Intense, something like that. I'm not saying it smells the same as those. I'm just saying that it kind of gives that kind of vibe, that dressed up luxury vibe to it. And that's what stands out to me about this fragrance. So thanks for joining me today. Thanks for watching my review. Thanks for tuning into my channel. I appreciate all you guys that are out there watching that have subscribed to the channel. I got a few more coming up here over the next week or so that I'm gonna be doing. So stay tuned. and I will see you next time.